just going to wait for a few minutes for others to join before we start the session. Hi, everyone. Once again, thanks for joining. So this is the late international student welcome. So a welcome session for international students who've missed the main induction welcome session previously. I'm going to give it 2 more minutes for people who have registered to join, then we'll start the sessions. So please bear with us. Okay, now it's 12:05, so I'm going to start the session. Hopefully more students will join along the way. So welcome everybody. Thanks for attending today's webinar. This is the late international session for international students who are new at Queen Mary. So my name is Elisa. I'm an international student advisor at Advice and Counseling. So today I'm joined by my colleague Rihanna from Careers. Thanks for joining, Rihanna.
Hi, thanks, Elisa, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rihanna and I work in the careers team, and I'll be speaking to you a little bit later.
Thanks, Rihanna. So what we will be covering today, from my side, I'll do the first part of the presentation. I will go through some of the visa information that you need to do, including creating your e-visa account, your conditions attached to your student visa, and then some of the general but essential information for you to be living in the UK, including healthcare, how to set up your bank account. Later on, I do have something more interesting to offer instead of talking through the technical bits. I'll talk through briefly some of the free or cheap things that you can do in the UK and social opportunities for you, either at Queen Mary or externally. Then I'll pass on to Rihanna to go through her bit with her department, Careers and Enterprise, what they offer and what they currently have in projects with the various what they can offer with the various projects when it comes to careers planning and careers advice. So before I start, a brief introduction of my department, Advice and Counseling. So we do free confidential one-to-one advice, and we don't just provide advice on visa and immigration matters. That's just a sub-team within our department. So international student advisors such as myself, we can give immigration advice in the UK because we're regulated by the IAA Immigration Advice Authority. So if you have any visa queries, any immigration queries, please do come to us. We're the only staff members regulated by IAA to give out visa advice to our students. But apart from that, our department also offer other services and advice, including money, practical advice, well-being support, such as a consultation with your counselor, with your mental health advisors, and we can also we also have advices for you to discuss sexual assault or harassment should you need advice in that regard. So the first thing I want to mention is e-visa. So you need to create your e-visa account, also known as UKVI account, because UKVI has phased out physical immigration documents such as a BRP. So nowadays, no migrant is being issued a BRPs. It's been phased out. It's been stopped printed since October last year. So with your new visa, on your visa decision letter, when your visa is granted, it should state there in the letter what you need to do to create your e-visa account in order to access your e-visa. So unlike a physical immigration documents where it's just given to you when the visa is granted, with the e-visa, you need to take steps proactively to activate the account and to make sure that you have full access within the account. If you haven't done that already, if you haven't created your e-visa account already, please refer back to the UKVI decision letter that it will state explicitly with full instructions and with the various links on what you need to do. Once you have created the account, you should log into it to make sure that the e-visa details there are accurate. If you've spotted an error, you need to make an online report to UKVI to have it rectified. So I've included here a screenshot of what your e-visa should look like once you've created the account and once you've logged in. So these will include some of your personal information, such as your full name, your date of birth, your nationality, and then it will provide your e-visa details. So the status section will state what visa permission you're currently holding. So if you're holding a student visa, it will say it's a student route status. For the visa valid from and valid until date, these are your visa start and end date. So one of the common errors by UKVI is that they give you a shorter visa duration. So the valid until date is shorter than it should be. For courses that are 12 months or longer, you should have 4 extra months added on top of the course end date stated on your CAS when the student visa is granted. So for example, if you are studying a one-year master's program, then your course ends in September next year, September 2026. With your student visa, the student visa should run until January 2027, 4 months after September 2026. So if when logging into your e-visa, it says that the e-visa valid until date is November 2026, that's an error, and you need to make the report to UKVI to make sure that you have the full length that you should be given on a student visa. Because if you have a shorter duration, this could impact your eligibility to apply for the graduate visa, which I'll cover later on in my next slides. So the function of the e-visa is that this will be your official proof of your immigration status in the UK. And how you can prove your immigration status to third parties such as the university or your employer or your landlord is that you need to log into the account and generate a share code. So this is what a share code looks like. It's basically a 9-character code, and you send this code to the third parties that you want them to check for your UKVI immigration status, and together with your date of birth, they will be able to access your e-visa details by going on to the Checker online portal. So I mentioned the share code as proof of your immigration status. So one example is that as part of your pre-enrollment task on MySIS, the task will ask for a share code, and that's because this will be the official way from now on to show that you have a UK valid immigration permission. A little bit about healthcare in the UK. So in the UK, we have a national healthcare service called NHS. And if you've paid for your IHS as part of your visa application, so these will be people who have applied for the student visa and the student visa duration is longer than 6 months, you should have paid your IHS as part of the visa application. Then you are entitled to free NHS service because you've paid for the IHS. If you didn't pay for your IHS, for example, because you came as a visitor, or when you apply for your student visa, the student visa is shorter than 6 months or at 6 months, then you are not entitled to free NHS service. For people who are not entitled to free NHS service, this means that you will be charged at an additional rate when you use the NHS service and treatment. You will be charged at 150% of the cost of the treatment. But the majority of you should be entitled to free NHS service because you should have paid for your IHS. One very important thing to do upon arrival in the UK is to register with a GP. A GP is a general practitioner who will be your first point of contact when it comes to almost any health issues you've had in the UK. And why is it so important to register with your GP is until you are registered with one of them, until you are on their registered list of patients, you cannot access their service. And so don't leave until you're sick to do the registration, because it do take some time for them to process your registration request. And sometimes the GP can refuse your registration request, although it's rare. But if they don't have the capacity to accept new NHS patients, they can refuse your application. If you live on campus or in nearby postcodes E1, E2, E3, or E14, you can register with the University Student Health Service. So that's the on-campus GP for you. If you don't live in these postcodes, then you need to go to the NHS website. Just type in on Google, register with a GP. Then the NHS website will allow you to type in your UK postcode. After typing in the postcode, the website would generate a list of your nearby GPs and surgeries that you can just choose one and register with. The important thing is to do the registration. apart from the GP, there are also other services available within the NHS system. So for example, for emergency life-threatening situations, you can call 999 or you can go to the A&E yourself. That's the accident and emergency room. In some countries, it's called the emergency room, but that's only for emergency life-threatening situations. For urgent but non-life-threatening situation, you can go to a walk-in centers, such as an urgent treatment centers, to get treated. You can also phone 111. That's an NHS helpline for urgent but still non-emergency and non-life-threatening situations. There's also an equivalent form online of 111. So instead of phoning to speak with a medical professional, you can complete the form, and after reviewing the form, a medical professional will phone you back to give you the advice that you need. For minor illnesses, minor injuries, you can do self-care at home, or you can go to a local pharmacy to speak to a pharmacist. One additional thing with the UK healthcare is that I said that the GP will be your first point of contact for almost all health issues, but there are some exceptions. So these include regular eye tests or dental treatments. So these, you will not get the advice directly from your GP. So for eye tests, you need to go to an optician directly, such as Specsavers, which is one of the biggest stores in the UK. For dental treatment, if you have paid for the eye test, then you can register with a dentist as an NHS patient. But just keep in mind that currently, you may not be able to find a dentist clinics that accept new NHS patients because they don't have the capacity, or even if you manage to register as one, the wait time could be quite long, and private dental treatment could be quite expensive in the UK. So with eye tests and dental treatment, if it's not urgent, not life-threatening, you may want to consider to seek these treatments when you go back to your home country during the holidays, for example. Because same with the dental treatment, the eye test in the UK is usually charged, and if you need to get a new pair of glasses, for example, you may find out that the prices could be a lot more expensive than you would normally get in your home country. So there are certain things that will be charged even within the NHS service. So not everything within NHS is free. These include eye tests, dental treatments, and prescription. So if you speak with a GP and they have to prescribe you with some medicines, then these will be charged, but usually at a subsidized rate. So it's not going to be as expensive as if you were to seek private treatment. Now let's talk a little bit about your work conditions attached to your visa. So I'm going to focus on people holding a student visa. So if you hold any other visa permissions, you need to check directly on your e-visa account or check the UKVI decision letter that it should state explicitly what your work rights are with your particular visa permission. If you're holding a visitor permission, whether you have applied for a standard visitor visa or because you're non-visa nationals and you came to the UK with your passport and an ETA, then keep in mind that as a visitor, you are not allowed to work. No work is permitted to you for you. So make sure that you don't work if you're holding a visitor permission. Student visa holders, if you are studying at a full-time program, you are permitted to work. Depending on your course level, if you are studying degree or above level, so if you're studying a course that is a bachelor's or above level, then you can work 20 hours per week during term time. If you're studying below degree level, so one example would be if you're doing a standalone foundation course, then you can only work for 10 hours per week during term time. Outside of term times, there will be no restrictions on the working hours. So you can work as many hours as you like. You can work full-time if you like during vacation periods. So vacation periods will be, for most students, the vacation periods marked on the QM academic calendar. So this should be your Christmas holidays, for example, or Easter holidays. The vacation periods also include the 4 extra months on your student visa after your course end date. So that's for courses longer than 12 months. If your course is shorter than 12 months, you should be given 2 months. But these extra period on your student visa, you are considered to be out of term time and you can work full time. But just make sure that even during these periods, if you're to work full time, the position is employed and that the position is not permanent, because full time permanent roles are not allowed under a student visa. There are additional work restrictions attached to a student visa permission, and I'll cover later on. So some working examples with the working hours restrictions. So here I'm giving the example of a student who's studying full-time at a bachelor's or above level, so they can work 20 hours per week during term time. Just keep in mind that with the calculation, with the definition of a week by UKVI, it starts from a Monday to the next Sunday. So it's not like your normal assumption of the week starting on Sunday to the next Saturday. For UKVI calculation, it starts on every Monday to the next Sunday. So the first example is okay because the student for the 2 weeks from Monday to Sunday, they only work 20 hours per week. So they max out the amount of time that they can work during term time, which is fine. The second example is not okay because the student has worked 1 extra hour on the first week. So they've worked 21 hours instead of 20. Just keep in mind that the 20 hours quota is per week, per 1 week block. It cannot be moved around. So in the second example, even though the student has worked 0 hours on the second week, this will not compensate for the 1 additional hour that they have worked for the first week. So if you did not use up the full quota of the working hours for 1 particular week, then it's gone. You cannot have it added to your previous week or to the next week. The third example explains the change of term time to vacation periods. So in this example, the vacation period starts on the next Saturday. So for the first week, Monday to Friday, that's term time, and the student has only worked 16 hours per week, and that's fine. That's within the 20 hours limit. Then from Saturday onwards, because it's vacation periods, there's no restrictions with the working hours. So the student can work full-time. They just need to make sure that the full-time position is temporary or fixed term, but not permanent. So this is the other work restrictions other than the working hours I mentioned previously. As a student visa holders, you cannot take a full-time permanent role. I've mentioned that already. You cannot be self-employed. You cannot be engaging in business activities. And you also cannot be working as a professional sports person or an entertainer. So here I've copied some of the examples on the UKVI guidance on what is considered to be self-employment or engaging in business activities. So if you are selling on the internet for the purpose of profit, that's self-employment. If you're trading in stocks or crypto, if you're renting out a property, if you're doing paid tutoring work as freelancer, all these are self-employment. If you're working in a gig economy, taking jobs in a gig economy, such as being a delivery driver in Deliveroo or Uber Eats, these are all self-employment. For engaging with business activities, of course, you cannot set up a business. But if you work for a company that you own more than 10% of shares, that's considered to be engaging in business activities as well. So you just need to make sure that you don't do all these things while you are on a student visa. One final thing to mention with the working restriction is that if you're doing work remotely for a non-UK company, but you're doing the work in the UK, that's still going to be included on the working hours. So all the things that you do while you're physically in the UK will be counted towards the working hours. So this is one final thing to mention with the work conditions, just to make sure that you can distinguish volunteering and voluntary work, because both are allowed if you're if you're holding a student visa. It's just that if you're doing volunteering, that's not going to be counted towards your working hours quota because it's not considered to be work. If you're doing voluntary work, also known as unpaid work, that's considered to be work, and this will be counted towards the working hours quota during term time, even though the work is unpaid. So the main distinguisher between volunteering and unpaid work is that volunteering is usually for a charity or public organizations, and there's usually no obligation for you to do the work. Whereas for voluntary work, there's the obligation or expectation of you to fill this role, to work, and you don't necessarily need to have a written contract of your employment. It can be verbal, but if it meets the definition of voluntary work, this will be counted as work. And if you're doing these kind of work during term time, you need to make sure that it does not exceed your working hours limit in addition to all your other work that you do, paid or unpaid. If you're not sure whether the role that have been offered to you is considered to be volunteering or voluntary work, you need to check with the organization that offers you that opportunity directly, because only they can tell for sure whether the work is voluntary work or volunteering. Taxes and national insurance. So if you're employed in the UK, you need to pay taxes and national insurance. If you earn below a certain threshold of income, then you may be exempt, you may not have to pay. But in the UK, employees do not normally have to do the calculation and do not have to file for the tax returns themselves. These are usually done by the employer directly before the salary even reach you. So when the salary reach your bank account, that's your actual take-home money after the tax deduction and national insurance deduction. National insurance, so you can view it as a second layer of tax if you wish, but the national insurance is set up to fund the employee's benefits, such as sick pay, parental leave, that sort of thing. So you need to apply for a national insurance number, a NINO, if you have any intention to work in the UK. The application for the NINO is free. You just need to make the application so that you get the number, because the number will link to all the national insurance payments. You can start working and you can get paid by your employer while waiting for the NINO, but ultimately you need to have the number so that all the payments you've made and will be making is tied to your national insurance number. Unfortunately, in recent years, there are quite a lot of scams and frauds targeted to international students. And these scams and frauds are getting more and more sophisticated. So you should be familiarizing yourself with some of the common scams targeting international students and what you need to do when you have fallen victim to a scammers, for example. Welfare advisors have written a very detailed blog specifically for start of term scams. So really recommend that you have a read. Also be aware of your belongings, especially your valuable belongings in central London touristy areas or around university areas, because these areas could be targeted by pickpockets or phone snatchers. So don't leave your phone in your back pocket. Don't try not to walk on the pedestrian side that is close to a cycle lane, because nowadays a lot of phone snatchers, they will be cycling while grabbing your phone. Some important numbers for you to know. So if there's an emergency situation on campus, you can phone the Queen Mary Security emergency number. You can also phone 101 to the police for non-emergency situation. For emergency, you can phone the police at 999. So that's the same number where you would call for an ambulance for A&E. Switching into work visa and post-study visa options. So one thing to note is that if you're holding a student visa, you need to complete your course first before you can switch to any of the work routes in the UK. The only exception is for PhD students, but even for PhD students, they need to have completed at least 2 years of their studies before they can switch to a work route from within the UK. Some key points about the graduate visa, because that's one of the popular routes for our students. So you need to meet various requirements to be eligible to be able to apply for the graduate visa, including you need to achieve a degree qualification. So these will be a bachelor's, a master's, a PhD programs. There are a few exceptions where you don't need to achieve a degree qualifications, but these are usually for professional bodies, such as teachers. So if your original course is for a master's award, for example, but in the end you've been given a lower exit award, such as a postgraduate diploma, because a diploma is not a degree qualification, then you do not meet the requirement to apply for the graduate visa. You also cannot have had a graduate visa before. With the current rules, you can only have graduate visa permission once in your lifetime. So if you have had a graduate visa before, even though you meet all the other requirements for the graduate visa, you will not be able to apply again. You also need to have had student visa permission and study in the UK for a certain duration of time. So these will usually be at least 12 months. If your course is shorter than 12 months, then you need to be in the UK studying while holding a student visa for the full duration of your course. You can also only apply from within the UK while the student visa is valid, so while the student visa hasn't expired. You also need to wait until the university's Immigration Compliance Team, ICT, has reported your successful completion of studies to UKVI before you can apply for the graduate visa. If you do not wait for that report and just go straight ahead with the graduate visa application, this could result in the graduate visa application being refused. So you need to complete all these things while your student visa is still running, hasn't been expired. One final note of the graduate visa is that there's a recent change with the immigration rules about 2 weeks ago, that from the 1st of January 2027, if you apply for the graduate visa on or after this date, for non-PhD students, the graduate visa duration will be shortened from 2 years to 18 months. For PhD students, their duration remains the same, so it will be 3 years now or after 2027. But for people who are completing below PhD level, so if you've completed a master's program and you apply for the graduate visa on 1st of January 2027 or after, then instead of having a 2-year graduate visa when the visa is granted, the visa duration will be only 18 months. So if you can, with your current course structure, so if you're doing a 1-year master's program, you should be completing by September next year. And if you manage to complete in time, you should still be able to apply for the graduate visa before this cutoff line. And you should still benefit from the full 2-year duration on the graduate visa. So if you're a student in the situation, you may want to make sure that you complete your course in time so that you can get the 6 extra months on the graduate visa. If you're doing an undergraduate program, for example, there's no way that you can complete by 2027, then unfortunately, because of the recent rule changes, then you'll have no choice but to stick with the 18 months. Budgeting and banking. So this is once again on our website, written by our welfare advisors. So really advise that you go and have a look. I'm not going to go into any more details than that. So now comes the more interesting and fun part of my presentation. London is sometimes known for being quite expensive with its high living costs, but it also has a surprisingly large amount of free or affordable things that you can do here. So one example is most of our major museums and galleries are free of charge, so you can go and explore that if you're interested in these areas. And also Paula, one of our international student advisors, she's been writing a monthly blog. It's called Free Fun in London. So every month she writes a blog and lists various things that you can do for free in London for that month. So you may want to subscribe to a blog, which I've included the link here, so that you get notification when her blog comes out. Socializing opportunities. So there are various organizations that are here to support international students. One example is the QMSU Queen Mary Student Union. So they host a wide range of activities and events for QM students. And do you know, 5 out of 6 of our student representatives are international students. So very exciting that you get this representations among international students. International Student House, so this is a charity that provides accommodation for international students. But apart from that, they also have regular events and socializing opportunities for international students. You don't have to be a resident in the accommodation to join these activities because Queen Mary is a member institute of each. So you can join these activities if you want. They have, for example, an annual Christmas party every year. So you may want to explore that. They also have a travel club, which they organize group trips for international students to explore around the UK. Time Out is a magazine that shares a lot of the things that you can do in London, and these are usually free or affordable when it comes to costs. They are quite active on social media. They have a Facebook account, they have IG and TikTok, I think. So you may want to check out their social media channels to see for ideas that you can do things in London at weekends or during vacation periods. UKISA, so this is an advice-based organization, but also specifically for international students. So they don't do a lot of activities and socializing for international students per se, but they can give you immigration and visa advice if you need. They have a student advice line that is completely free of charge, and you can just phone them within their operating hours. So this is a second option for you if you need to seek visa immigration advice. You can come to us, International Student Advisors at ACS, or you can speak with UKISA, or both if you want. As a full-time student here, you also get quite a lot of discounts. So one example is the Totem card. So the online version of Totem is free, but the offer will only be limited to online offers. If you apply for a physical card to get full membership, then you will have the full range of benefits and discounts. They do have quite a wide range of discounts for international students who are their member. So this will include discounts for electronic devices, discounts for restaurants, for cafes, and sometimes for traveling sites as well. You can also apply for a student card, student Oyster card, if you're studying full time, to get discounted public transport costs. So that's will be applied on the TfL website. You can also get a discounted student card for train ticket. So that's rail card. And that will be for train going from outside London. And you will get about 1/3 of the train tickets off. We at ACS also organize some socializing activities among international students. So this is Global Cafe. So this will be safe and socializing space for QM international students to meet with other international students for a warm cuppa, for a piece of pizza, for some snacks. And for this academic year, it's going to be run once per month. And I've included all the dates here that have been confirmed, and it will be held in Yacht at the Chaplaincy from 2 to 4 p.m. for each sessions. So if you're interested, you can take a picture of the QR code. This is for the registration of a place at Global Cafe. And finally, I know it's quite a lot to take in, so I've created this link tree. So if you just take a picture, scan this QR code, this will direct you to a link of a list of links that for you to look back later on. So all the links will be things that I've mentioned here already, but in more details. We also have an Instagram account, QMUL_ACS. So feel free to follow us because we do post quite regularly, especially during start of term. So you may find some information relevant for you. And we will also post when we have some exciting news to share, such as if there's any activities that we want you to join, or we think it's good for you to join, that sort of stuff. And finally, because the session is quite packed, so I'm afraid we don't have time for Q&A. So very important for you to know how to reach us if there's anything unclear with the presentation, or if you just have any issues with your visa immigration status. So we're now on AskQM, which is just an online platform for all QM students to raise the inquiries. So when filling out the AskQM inquiry form, make sure you choose the main category as advice and counseling, because only then the inquiry will go directly to us. Do not choose the go-to option for you. There's a main category option that says international and immigration that will direct you to a separate team, the compliance team, who doesn't do advice. So if you need to reach us, make sure you select advice and counseling on the AskQM form. You can also come to our office if you would like to have an in-person interaction. So we are based on the ground floor of the Geography building in Malden campus. You can come and visit us during our opening hours, which is Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And finally, please do go and visit our website because we do have a lot of useful information there, and we do take quite a lot of time writing these guidance and updating the guidance. And because once again, our department offers such a wide range of services to you, not just for immigration advice, but other services, it's good that you explore and know what we can offer as a department. So if you need support other than visa immigration, then you know how to contact us. And also on our website, we have a link for you to book an online drop-in session. So that's will be a 15-minute session where you can speak online with an international student advisor such as me. And we have up to 12 slots per week usually, and it needs to be booked in advance. So it's also on our website. So please do and go and visit our website. And now I'm going to pass over to Rihanna for her part.
Hi everyone, and thank you, Elisa, for that really comprehensive overview of everything you guys need to know. I will keep this short and sweet, and then I'll signpost you guys to some exciting events we have coming up this week, external events and events run by us. So this is really good timing, I hope. So yes, we are the Careers Enterprise team. My role is to work only with international students, so anything to do with international students and their careers. It's most likely to be me you'll be seeing, but we also have named points of contact with all of your schools as well. So over the next few slides, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what we have on offer at Queen Mary and then how to get involved. So you may find that these diagrams come up on a lot of your course areas, infographics and things like that. And it's interesting just to think about which stage you might be in at the moment. Are you in the explore stage, navigating what options you might want to do when you finish your studies? Are you acquiring the skills? Are you showcasing them to the employer? Or are you transitioning into the workplace and coming back to tell us about your amazing success? You can be going through different stages throughout your journey with us, but it's good to have a think in case this labeling helps you figure out what you might want to attend. So I'm going to just do a little bit of myth busting. We probably haven't got time for you guys to shout out in the chat. So I will just ask you to think for yourselves. I'll give you 5 seconds for each question. That's not great, is it? Okay, let's start with question 1. I've already spoiled this one. So my student visa information should go on my CV, true or false? The answer to this question is false. So we shouldn't have any identifying information on our CV, not gender, not date of birth, not marital status, and not immigration status. We want to focus on our skills for our CV only, so that the employer only judges us based on our skills and experience, nothing else that they could form any biases because of. Next, think to yourselves, the large brands and organizations are most likely to sponsor me in the UK. True or false? Have a think. I'll give you 5 seconds and see if you're surprised. This is a confusing true but false. So the large employers in the UK are potentially likely to have sponsorship licenses, but that doesn't mean they are most likely to hire you as an international student or graduate. An employer who doesn't have a license could hire you under the graduate visa, and they could sponsor you down the line when they see how amazing you are. Next one, we've already got the answer. My part-time work in a cafe should go on my graduate level CV. This is about transferability of skills. So lots of students will say to me, I don't think my cafe work should go on my CV because it's not in the same industry as I'm going into. However, if you have customer service experience, working under pressure, maybe you've been counting money, so you've got some numerical skills in there as well. It's all about the skills you gain. So if you can transfer those skills to the industry you want to go into, then you need to spell that out to the employer on your CV. Next, I should aim for roles with job titles I know from my home country. What do we think? Should you go for roles that you know about from where you are at home? Do you think they're similar to ones in the UK? Typically, I would say false for this. So the UK doesn't have too much regulation around job titles. Your home country might be similar, it might be different. What this means is the only way you can find out really about what the job has on offer, and if this sounds similar to what you experience at home, is by reading the job description. What do the responsibilities say? Does this sound like what you want to do? If not, you can start doing a little bit more research on what your skills would match to for a job title in the UK. Internships during term time should be my focus for work experience. True or false? What do we think? 5 more seconds. This is a quick fire quiz, guys. And I would say false. So if you are on a student visa and you're restricted to working part-time or the 20 hours a week that Eliza was speaking about during term time, it's good for you to know that internships in the UK are typically full-time, which can prove a bit of a challenge if you're a postgraduate student with different vacation periods. What I would say is please look at part-time opportunities, any areas to upskill in, or the micro internships that we offer. These are part-time internships through Queen Mary. And this is a brilliant opportunity to leverage your skills and experience for an elevated piece of work experience, but part-time. I'll quickly go through these and then we'll go on to a bit of signposting about what we have on offer. LinkedIn and Indeed are the best places to look for work. True or false? What do we think? Make a little note for yourselves. So the reason I write this is because all of the students I work with pretty much will say that is where they're looking for work. They don't often have too much success in these areas. These are such broad, oversaturated platforms that so many applicants are going through them. And then sometimes the jobs have expired before they've even clicked, but they don't know because the medium recruiter that works between you and the company hasn't updated it yet. So just be cautious of these really big platforms. The career service at Queen Mary is support for current students only. True or false? What do we think? Current students only? False. We actually provide support for 3 years after your course end date. So please do try and see us and come to our workshops during your studies. But if you are looking for the next role or a promotion or a change in career when you finish your studies, we offer support for 3 years after your course end date. I should not put my age, gender, or full address on my CV. We've had a little spoiler to this one, so I hope you guys get it right. True or false? I should not include my age, gender, or full address on my CV. Who listened to the one on the last slide? Correct. Ooh, let's go back. So we don't want any identifying characteristics aside from our skills and experience that show why we have the skills required for the job on our CV. Unpaid volunteering isn't useful for my CV if it's unpaid. What do we think for this one? True or false? Unpaid volunteering isn't useful for my CV if it is unpaid. False. Okay, so we need to make sure that we are sticking with whatever our student visa or other visa requirements are, with whatever work or volunteering versus voluntary work that we do, like Elisa was saying. But please don't undervalue your experience because it's less traditional, it's in a different industry, or it is unpaid. We always advocate for our students to be paid for work that they are doing. But whatever you get involved with, any leadership positions, any societies, any skills you are gaining from experiences, they will go on your CV because they will be reasons and examples for the employer that you have the skills they need for that job. Okay, couple of slides now before the end to just cover what we have on offer soon. So you may go through a journey a little bit like this when you come to Queen Mary, a career timeline for international students. We're slightly further along the line now. So usually we would say pre-arrival, think about what recruitment norms are like in the UK, what your CV and cover letter might look like, meet the team in events like this, and then we go to the workshop stages. Because you're coming in a little bit later, you might have done those things already. And if not, I've got the workshops ready to send you in the chat for you to upskill very soon. But soon we'll be thinking about how to apply those skills to the graduate job market in the UK or the part-time job market. We'll have the opportunity for you to meet employers, ask your questions to careers staff and to various external employers. And then you'll get ready to showcase your skills and experience in an application that we can guide you through with our support. If you haven't already created an account for our Careers Hub, this is where all of our events and opportunities are. So if you scan this QR code, you should be able to create that profile. And if you tick receive marketing or receive emails, you'll get my once a month newsletter, which goes out at the end of each month, specifically for international students looking to improve their career prospects. A few about our different programs. So we have our enterprise program. So we have a hackathon event where you can navigate a bootcamp simulation with an entrepreneurial activity. You can incubate your business idea and test it out. You can accelerate it. And then towards the end of your studies, you can look to apply for a funding bid to launch your career in a certain innovation. Keeping in mind what your student visa restrictions are. Some of these are available at the end of your studies because you won't be able to work in certain entrepreneurial areas as a student on a student visa, but make sure you keep an eye on these so that you can apply for them towards the end of your studies and keep an eye on when the deadlines are as well. This is the enterprise team. They are a wing of our Queen Mary careers team. So if you want to meet with an advisor, David has appointments running until Christmas. So I'd highly recommend chatting to him if you are interested in eventually starting your own business or you are innovative in the way you think and approach the workplace. We have our student consultancy project, which is the ability to work with a business on a consultancy-based solution and pitch it back to the employer. There's more of this coming over the coming weeks and months, and there are a few intakes per year. If you are eligible for this, have a look and apply. But remember that the applications are very competitive. So if things are a bit rushed now, we can apply later in the year or signpost you to various other programs we have on offer. We also have Q Temps. This is somewhere that advertises part-time paid temporary work around your studies, often with local businesses or roles on campus. When you have an up-to-date CV and cover letter that you're really happy with, if you upload it there, then you'll get alerted to opportunities that are coming up and you can apply for those jobs when you see them and they suit you. Micro internships, as I said, are 40-hour projects or micro internships that fit around your study. You have a pre-arrival support, you have a reflection support at the end. And again, these are competitive applications, but these are amazing opportunities for you to get involved with a part-time internship opportunity. Equally so, if you find an opportunity that you want to apply for, that's full-time, you can always come to our workshops about negotiating the timings with employers to see if you can talk to the employer about a part-time version of the same internship, as long as you are standing out as a candidate. Lastly, I just want to talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion. We are always trying to make our service more accessible. If you feel that we can do anything to make you feel more included, if you have a disability or you need a reasonable adjustment to make your transition to life in the UK easier, or anything you'd like to disclose with us or understand about how to speak to employers about these things, please do get in touch and we'll support you. We have this ongoing program. We're halfway through now, but the second stage of this is this week. We are decoding the job market for international students. We are discovering our fit, how this applies to the UK workplace, what jobs can I apply for and how to find them, and then how to show our value to employers. And the next session is tomorrow online. I'll put the links in the chat and I really hope you can make it. We have loads of exciting events coming up soon, so I'll put the sign up links in there soon. If you open them up now, then you can have a look at them when this call ends. That is all from me. I'm gonna, let's go back a slide. I think, Eliza, do you want to come in there?
Yeah, no, thanks for the presentation, Rihanna. I just want to mention, yeah, maybe I do have something to add, sorry. So with the work placement, if the work placement is part of your course, that is an integral and assessed part of your course, and you're holding a student visa, that is permitted if it's full-time and during term time, but it has to be part of your program. If it's not part of your program, that you're doing it in addition to your course, then Rihanna is correct. You need to make sure that it's in compliance with your visa conditions. So if you're taking the internship that is not part of your course during term time, make sure that it meets the working hours limit there. If it's during vacation periods outside of term time, then that's fine. And Brianna has just posted the online links for tomorrow's session, so hope you can all access it.
Thanks, Eliza. So the first link is Student Circus, an external business that works with international students doing a campus to career webinar. That's Thursday. Then Friday, if you are looking at a career in China, if you're a Chinese student or a student who speaks fluent Chinese, we have an in-person event this Friday, which is from a fantastic company and businesses that are looking to directly recruit Chinese students and graduates. And then finally, the link to sign up to my online session tomorrow. It's the last time that session will run. And then stage 3 is after that from the 3-stage program. So if you're interested in how to approach the UK job market, where to find jobs, what to apply for, that workshop is tomorrow, and I would love to see you there online.
Exciting. So we're going to end the session now. And once again, because the session is recorded, you'll be able to access it later on, and we'll be posted it on our various websites. So from Rihanna's side, that will be on the department's website. From our side, that will be on the ACS website. So if you want to revisit what we've mentioned here, feel free to see the recording again. And thanks so much for joining today's session. I hope you have a great day. Anything you want to add, Rihanna?
No, thanks everyone. Great to see you here. And thanks, Eliza, for the presentation.
Of course. Bye, everyone.